everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys have had a really good day. I hope you guys have had a good start to your November. So today is going to be kind of a fun video. This is kind of an idea topic that I've been wanting to make for a while, but I just haven't yet. And today we are going to be talking about the books that I am scared to read. Now, I know that sounds weird for probably a lot of people who don't read that many books, but when you're a really big reader like me, there are some books that you have in your collection that's like, yes, I want to read them, but at the same time, something about them kind of holds me back a little bit, if that makes sense. So it could be the sheer size of the book, it could be the content in the book, it could be the author of the book, it could be what you've heard about the book. It could be a whole different slew of things. But I thought it would be fun to kind of go through the books that I'm personally scared to read, because let's face it, I do have a couple of books in my collection that I am a little scared of, picking up and reading. But yeah, I do want to eventually read all of these books at some point. I do have like this Wheel of Shame that I know was big over the summer, and I do plan on using that probably after the new year, once January hits. I kind of plan on bringing that back and using that as kind of like my main method, so that way I have, more upfront reason to read the books, and because it's like, hey, this is the book that got picked, you need to read it, which is actually how I was able to read a lot of books that I hadn't gotten to yet over the summer. So yeah, very excited to bring that back. But yeah, I have a whole different categories of books and why I'm scared to read them. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about is actually my book club book for this month, so I'm going to have to read it. But I still wanted to put it in this video because I wanted to kind of just talk about why I am scared of reading it, because no, I am going to be reading it this month. I do want to, there's still like a little bit of, hesitation, and that is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This is actually the book that inspired Wicked, the Broadway show, which was obviously inspired by the Wizard of Oz series, as well as the movie back in 1939. Now, I didn't know that Wicked, like the actual Broadway show, Wicked was based off of something other than the Wizard of Oz. I thought it was just based off of the movie and just like that was it. But I did find out when I got older that this is actually the book that Gregory Maguire had written, because he wanted to give the Wicked Witch of the West more of a backstory. And so yeah, the main reason why I'm scared of this book, not necessarily is because I'm not gonna like it. It's more because I know the content of this book is gonna be a lot darker than the Broadway show. I have learned, because I actually follow an Oz historian on TikTok named Tori, aka the Oz Vlog, who also got her start here on YouTube. She let me know like very early on, like this is not like how the musical is. This is not that lighthearted musical. No, this is like quite dark. But I still want to read it. I thought it'd be a really fun pick for my book club for November, because Wicked Part 2 is coming out this month. If you want to go ahead and join my book club, I will have a link for it down below. I would always love for new members to join. But yeah, I just know that it's going to be a very dark experience reading this, and I know that there's going to be things in it that's probably going to be very hard to read. And I don't see myself like not liking the movie or the musical because of this book, like even if it is dark. But I think it's just going to be really hard for me because I know the musical. I've seen it in person, and then obviously I saw Wicked Part 1, and then I plan on seeing Wicked Part 2. So it is going to be very hard for me to just see that content in a much darker way, basically. So very curious to see how this is going to be, but this is like the one that I know that I am going to be reading like the earliest out of all of these books. Like all the other books, like I don't really have a timeline of when I would like to read them, but this one is like I'm going to be reading it very, very soon, like within this month. So yeah, it will be very interesting though. I'm hoping to actually finish this before I watch Wicked Part 2, because it will be kind of cool to kind of give like compare and contrast notes of what's different from the book and what's different from the movie, because I know they might be adding new things in to Wicked Part 2, and I don't know if it's gonna be from the book, so I guess we're gonna find out. But yeah, be interesting. Next two books, you know, I didn't put any books in here that are like, oh, I'm scared they're gonna make me cry, because that's kind of a shallow reason to be scared of a book, in my opinion, because obviously there are going to be a lot of books that are gonna make you sad. But kind of like with Wicked, these particular books have very dark topics, and I am just worried that I don't know if I will be able to handle that dark content or not, but we'll see. So that is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, who is actually my grandmother's favorite author, fun fact, or one of her favorite authors, and then Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. These two books, like, I kind of know like what happens based off of like the synopsis and everything. I know one deals with like, I think one deals with like an abduction, and then the other one is like a disappearance or something. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's just always hard to read a very heavy book, and I feel like out of all the books that I currently have in my collection, I think these are probably the two heaviest, or two of the heaviest books that I have in terms of content and stuff. So there is just part of me that's like, I'm excited to read these because I feel like it's a good thing to read these books, to have that experience. But at the same time, it's like, am I mentally prepared for it? Because personally, I don't have anything outright that I know of that triggers me, but at the same time, like, I can find out from reading these books that I may in fact do have some things that do trigger me. So it is always a little nerve-wracking. So yeah, the sheer reason why I am scared to read this is because it is, I think, the largest book that I have in my collection. Look how thick, look at how thick that, this is not a book, this is a brick. This is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and I blame Emma Skies, who I mentioned her, I think in my last video, that she is one of my favorite like bookish creators on social media, and I 100% blame her for me getting this, because she absolutely loves this book. It's like one of her all-time favorite books, and I just, it's a big book, and this prequel is just as big, and I think there might even be a third book now in this series, or there's going to be a third book out in this series. I could be completely wrong about that. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I don't know, but yeah, I have this in audiobook form, because the idea of physically reading this, like, there's no way I could handle reading this physically. Like, my wrists and my hands hurt just thinking about that. So we're gonna read it in audiobook form, and I think the audiobook is 20 hours, 30 hours, something like that. It's a long audiobook, so it'll be interesting, and I just hope that with the book this thick I do like it, because it would be really sad if I get a book this thick and then it ends up not being one of my favorites. So we'll see though. Yeah, this is, it's a big book, good lord. All right, these next three books, they all kind of have the same reason why I'm scared of them, and it's gonna sound really stupid when I say it, but it's pretty much my thought process of why I'm scared of these is, am I smart enough to read these? That's kind of my thought process. So that is Babel by R.F. Kuang, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and then This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. Yeah, all of these books have something about them that I worry it's gonna be like way over my head, and I worry that I'm not gonna be able to enjoy these books simply because of the fact that I don't understand what is happening in the book. Because it's always hard for you to enjoy the book if you really cannot grasp whatever is going on, whether it be a magic system, the language, the kind of plot lines, whatever the case may be. It's hard to enjoy something if you don't understand it enough to where you can actually enjoy it. And I worry that with any of these books, like, there's going to be some element about them that I'm not going to understand, and I'm not going to be able to like enjoy it as much as I would like to, simply because of the fact that of the content of these books is just not something I can like understand, if that makes sense. The thing is with this particular book, how this is how you lose the time war, is people have said over and over and over again, like, yes, this book is confusing, you just kind of have to accept that and move on. So I think kind of knowing that right off the bat, like, hey, I may not understand every little thing that happens in this book, but I just kind of have to push past it and just focus on like the story that's being told. I feel like if like I have the ability to do that, and if I know that going in, it might make the book experience a little bit more enjoyable, but I don't know. But this book is also nice and short, so it's like, even if I don't understand it completely, it's not like I have like a super long reading experience with this book. It's not like it's a 700-page behemoth of a book like that last one was, and you know, I feel like I could probably handle it. How long are you? 198 pages. Yeah, this isn't even 200 pages, so I feel like I can handle almost 200 pages of maybe a little bit more confusing content, but we'll see. All right, next up is an author that I have several of his books, but I have not started reading any of them because I just worry that his content and his writing style may not be for me, because he is a very popular writer, and I just don't know if I don't know. And that is Brandon Sanderson. I clearly have an interest in reading Brandon Sanderson, considering I have 3 of his books, a standalone and 2 starts to 2 completely different series. But yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I guess, is very well known for his very complex and very high fantasy novels, and I do worry that it might be a little bit too high fantasy for me, and it might be a little too complex for me. It's another thing of, am I smart enough to read this? Am I smart enough to read his books? You know, and that's kind of, fun fact, that's honestly one of the main reasons why I didn't read for so long, and it was because of the fact that I felt like all adult books were just books that were just way super complex, because the authors just thought, oh, these people are adults, they can understand these complexities and these super high fantasy worlds and just these super crazy ideas, which, I mean, yes, kind of, but also not every adult can understand that. So I do worry that Brandon Sanderson may not be the right person for me, but we're gonna find out. Like I said, I have 3 of his books. I definitely want to start somewhere with him. Exactly where I want to start with him, I'm not really sure, but yeah, and I do feel like these are 3 good places to start with his book, but I don't know, we'll see. All right, next up are 2 classics that I have. I don't read classics for a multitude of reasons, but the main one being is the fact that I had to read several classics when I was in high school and in middle school, and reading classics in school is not a fun experience. At least it wasn't to me, because for me personally, I really didn't like the fact that I, number one, had no say in what I did read, in terms of like what was being given to us. But also I had to read at a pace that I personally couldn't keep up with. Like, I like to take my time with my books. As we all know, I'm a very slow mood reader. And the thing is, with a lot of books, they're expecting you to read many, many chapters every single night. And it's like, if I'm not interested in what I'm reading, it is very, very difficult to read a chapter, much less several, in one night. And then you also have the added fact that a lot of these books you're analyzing the absolute crap out of. So now I really can't think of the books that I read in school, like Frankenstein, The Great Gatsby, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, those kind of books, without thinking of all the homework assignments and the projects and the discussions and the just absolute sheer analyzation I had to do with those books. You know, I couldn't enjoy them. I couldn't just sit, you know, read them at my own pace and draw my own conclusions and like analyze it in my own way. I had to do it in a certain way, and I had to do it a lot. So yeah, so that's why I haven't really read a classic since I got back into reading, I don't think. So I do have two here that I didn't have to read in school. So one is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and then the other one is Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott, I'm not really sure. So these two books obviously are very well known, very, you know, well-read classics. But there is just the fact that classics have just been tainted for me and for a long time. You know, I am getting more and more open to the idea of reading a classic, especially since I've read so many more books and, you know, like books with more complex like ideas and stuff like that. And I also do know the fact that I don't have to analyze these books. I'm not going to have to do homework assignments. I'm not going to have to read several chapters every single night. I can take my own pace, and I think that will definitely help me. But at the same time, it is just kind of like, there's still a classic. You know, like I said, classics have just kind of been hard for me ever since I was in school. So but I do want to read these eventually. I do have, I think, both of these in audiobook form, which I think will also help. But we'll see. Yeah, but they are pretty versions that I have. So, all right, last but not least, I have some sequels that I am currently, kind of scared of reading, just because the first book or the first couple of books were just a lot. And so I am a little scared to continue on in this world and with these stories. So the first book that I have is actually a book that I have started reading. I've only read like the first chapter, so I'm not obviously really far into it, and I lost my bookmark for this book. I think it's in my car somewhere because I took it with me to work this morning. So I'm hoping it's in my car. But anyway, and this is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. And here's the thing. I love Holly Jackson. We all know that I love Holly Jackson. She's my favorite YA author. She's my favorite mystery thriller author. There's no doubt. However, the thing is, Good Girl, Bad Blood, which is right here, it ended on a very heavy note. There is something that goes down at the end of the book that is it is crazy. It is twisty. It is just a very, very heavy thing. And it leaves our main character, Pip, very, very, changed. You could even say that it leaves her traumatized. And that is, I think, a very good assessment to make, is that she was, in fact, traumatized by what happened at the end of book 2. And I feel like with this book, we're going to be getting a lot of that. And it is going to be hard because you don't always want to read a super heavy book, But at the same time, I do want to finish this series because I love the first 2 books so much. And, you know, I really do want to see how this book ends. And it'll also be good for me to finally finish this trilogy and just a trilogy in general, because I haven't. We're not going to talk about it. So I don't know. I'm nervous to read this. Just based off the first chapter that I read, I know it's going to be a lot. I know that it's going to be a hard book to get through, but at the same time, I feel like it'll be a good thing for me to do. It will be good for me to kind of see this series finally get wrapped up and kind of really see how she handles everything that happens to her. But yeah, we'll see. All right, next up, I have read Fourth Wing twice now. Still have not read Iron Flame. So, yeah. The first time when I read it in March of 2024. Or finished in March of 2024. I started in February of 2024. But anyway, the main reason why when I very first finished it, why I was scared to read it or read this book back then was because, number one, how chunky the book was. Little did I realize that I would be getting Priory of the Orange Tree. But also, it was just because of the reviews of this book. This book has a lot of mixed reviews from its fans. Some people really enjoy it, some people don't. And so I am nervous to kind of see how I'm going to enjoy it, and that was kind of the main reason why I really held off, which is why I wanted to then reread and annotate Fourth Wing so that way I could finally get my butt together and actually read this sucker. And then what ended up happening, it took me nearly 6 months to finish Fourth Wing and annotate it. And then by that point, I was so burned out on the Fourth Wing world that I was like, no, I don't want to pick up Iron Flame because I am over it. I need a break from it. So now here it is, still unread. And I've had it for probably over a year at this point. Definitely over a year at this point. Probably closer to a year and a half. And it still has not been read. So, yeah. This is a book that I am debating on eventually getting to pretty quickly. Like, it's actually, I'm between this and then The Assistant to the Villain second book. I want to read one of those books after I annotate and reread The Lost Apothecary. I think the main reason why I'm kind of holding off on this is because it took me so long to reread and annotate Fourth Wing that I'm worried it's going to take me even longer to finish this. But I also feel like this book is a book that I've never read before. So I feel like because of that, like, I feel like I'm going to be more willing to, like, pick this book up and actually actually annotate it and, like, read it because of the fact that I don't know what happens. Whereas with Fourth Wing, when I reread it, like, I already knew what was happening and I already knew, like the content of it, which is why I kind of was putting it off, because honestly, when it comes to rereads, I am one that kind of puts it off quite a bit because I'm like, I already know what happens. I already know, like, how this book is going to end. So, like, I don't need to get to it, like, right this second. So my rereads do kind of tend to take longer, whereas with my newer, like, my books that I haven't read that I'm annotating, I usually get them through them pretty quickly because of the fact that I want to know what happens. But it is still a thick book, and so I know it's probably still going to take me a few months, hopefully not 6 months, but we'll see, because I still also want to read Onyx Storm, and I'm sure there's going to be another book from this world that's going to come out at some point. So this is my life. And then last but not least, in terms of books that I'm scared to read and sequels that I am scared to read, we have Our Violet Ends by Chloe Gong. This is the sequel to These Violent Delights, which I did read last year in, like, the spring, summer. I enjoyed that book. I thought it was a fun book, but at the same time, there was a lot in that book that was just a lot. That's honestly the best way that I could try it. It was a lot. There was a lot that was going on. There was a lot of, like, violence. There was a lot of not great topics. And, you know, even though that's not necessarily a bad thing, kind of like with Iron Flame and or like the 2 heavy books that I talk about, you don't always want to read that. You don't always want to read about that. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I put this book off for so long and why I still haven't read it yet, because even though it's just a duology, I know once I finish this book, I'm going to be done with that duology and I can, you know, be done with it. Like, that's all I have to do is read this book. That's it. I still just, because I'm like, what else can happen? What else can we go through in this book? Like, what else are we going to be dealing with? Because I don't know if I want to see them deal with it or read them dealing with it. I don't know if I want to. But at the same time, like, I'm also curious. And like I said, it's only 2 books. And I've already read the first one. So I might as well get through this one. It's also kind of chunky too, which doesn't help. I just need to suck it up and read it. I know I do, but it's hard. So those are all of the books that I am currently scared of reading. Like I said, there are some books that, you know, there's obviously the one book that I'm already reading, and then the books that I'm going to be reading very, very soon. You know, so it's not like these books are never going to get read. But at the same time, like, I feel like I do kind of need some motivation to read these books. Because, you know, sometimes certain books just kind of scare you a little bit, and that's okay. You know, I do hope that I will be able to read all of these books eventually, because some of these books I've had for a really long time, like a couple of years, some of them, and I just feel like they need to be read. I'm hoping that once I start doing the Wheel of Shame again in January, that it really will kind of put a fire under my butt to actually read these books, and kind of finally, like, get myself going. But yeah, still, it's hard. It's hard, you know, to read books that are kind of heavy or big or just have a lot of not super great reviews. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, you know, feel like you're not alone now in terms of being scared of reading certain books, because that is a thing. It is, especially when you read several books, you know, a month like I do, and you have a large book collection like I do. There are going to be books that are a little bit more intimidating than others. So yeah. And these are not all of the books that I'm scared of. These are just the ones that stuck out most to me at this day in time. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.